Stories of witches have been told throughout history. However, the study of witchcraft is often misunderstood. The history of witches is one that's filled with dark tales. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we'll be taking a look at 3 notorious witches. Agnes Sampson. In the spring of 1590, King James VI of Scotland had just returned from Copenhagen with his bride, Anne of Denmark. Denmark at the time was obsessed by the topic of witchcraft, and during his visit, James had been witness to multiple witch hunts and 2 executions of accused witches at Kronborg. James was so taken by the rumours of this sorcery that he immediately attributed the rough seas on his return voyage from Denmark to Scotland as the work of Scottish witches, who had raised storms to endanger him and his wife's life. As soon as he set foot on Scottish lands, he decided to set up trials and inquisitions to outsource Scottish witches. Scotland was swept up in a mass hysteria which saw hundreds of women accused. Agnes Sampson was one of the unfortunate Scottish women accused of witchcraft. A successful midwife and considered to have healing powers, it was hardly surprising she would be accused. In Scotland, there was a deep-running skepticism of abortionists and healers by the largely dominated male medical profession. Sampson was accused of gathering with the devil and other witches on Halloween night of 1590 to conjure storms to attempt to sink the king's ship. Though Sampson vehemently denied any association with witchcraft, she was tortured and brought before King James himself. Sampson's torture included being stripped naked and shaved to try and spot a devil's mark, being thrown in a prison cell and constantly kept awake, and being forced to wear a witch's bridle. A painful and humiliating apparatus that involved an iron muzzle put around your head with several spikes going into your face. Remarkably, no one was able to extract a confession from Sampson. Her guards became increasingly frustrated and decided to increase Sampson's torture. They placed a tourniquet rope around her neck and began to strangle her. It was only then that Sampson confessed to having contact with the devil, who she said appeared to her as a black man, a dog and a hayrick, and using witchcraft to attempt to kill King James and his bride. Following her confession, Sampson was taken to a scaffold on Castle Hill where she was burnt at the stake. It is said that to this day, Sampson's ghost roams Holyrood Palace. She appears naked and shaved and moves in a slow and agonizing way, the repercussions of the torture she was forced to endure. Mother Shipton. Mother Shipton's real name was Ursula Sonthiel. She would later become known as Mother as a result of being the oldest woman in her village. She was born in 1488, but little is known about her childhood or her parentage. Legend has it that she was born during a violent thunderstorm in a cave in Knaresborough. It was said her mother was just 15 years old and refused to name the father of her child, despite being dragged before the local magistrate. Shipton was raised in the cave for 2 years before she was taken in by a local family and her mother was sent to a nunnery. Shipton never saw her mother again. Unfortunately, Shipton was reputed to be hideously ugly, with a large and crooked nose, a bent back and twisted legs. She was said to look like a witch and cruelly nicknamed Hagface. When she met and married her husband, Toby Shipton, it was even rumoured that she had bewitched him to fall in love with her. The constant cruelty that Shipton faced saw her retreat back to the cave she was born and first raised in, where she lived a lonely life and set up her business telling fortunes and predicting the future. Her premonitions grew more and more ambitious as her confidence grew, and soon she was known as the Knaresborough Prophetess. Her prophecies foretold the fates of several rulers, the invention of iron ships, the defeat of the Spanish Armada, and even the Great Fire of London, according to one of Samuel Pepys' diary entries. A famous prophetic verse that has been attributed to Shipton goes like so: "The world to an end shall come," in 1881. Shipton's prophecies had become so revered that in 1881, more than a century after her death, many did prepare for the apocalypse. It is said that word of Shipton even reached Henry VIII, who in a letter to the Duke of Norfolk, Thomas Howard, mentioned a witch of York. It cannot be confirmed that this witch was Shipton. However, Cardinal Thomas Wolsey, who at one point was a trusted ally of Henry VIII, on several occasions openly referred to Shipton. He was unhappy with one of Shipton's premonitions. "When this cow rideth the bull, the priest beware thy skull." He interpreted the cow in the premonition as Anne Boleyn, and the skull as the threat she brought of breaking England's relationship with the Catholic Church. Wolsey grew so frustrated with Shipton that he threatened if he ever visited York, he would have her burnt on the stake for witchcraft. It is worth noting that many struggle to verify Shipton's prophecies. Her prophecy relating to the end of the world in 1881 was said to not appear in print until well after her death in 1862, and is believed to actually be the work of Victorian editor Charles Hindley. Agnes Waterhouse. Agnes Waterhouse was the first woman to be executed for witchcraft in England. Her execution took place in 1566, after Henry VIII had passed the first legal act against witchcraft. Waterhouse's unfortunate fate began when her sister, Elizabeth Frances, was accused of witchcraft. Following torture, Frances confessed to owning a cat named Satan, who had taught her witchcraft at the age of 12 years old. Frances told how the cat would speak to her in a hollow voice and do anything she wished in return for a drop of blood. The cat was responsible under Frances's orders for stealing sheep and killing several people, including Andrew Biles, a wealthy man who refused to marry Frances when she became pregnant with his child. It was said that the cat even advised Frances what herbs to take to cause her own abortion afterwards. After 13 years, Frances said she chose to give the cat to her sister in exchange for a cake. Frances told Waterhouse about the cat's abilities, and Waterhouse confessed to experimenting with the cat's powers by making it kill one of her own pigs. After confirming the cat's abilities, Waterhouse supposedly ordered the cat to kill the cows and geese of the neighbours she was warring with. Waterhouse always insisted she had never asked for the cat to kill a human. However, one of the most damning accusations against her came from her 12-year-old neighbour, Agnes Brown. Brown accused Waterhouse of sending a demon to her, who appeared as a black dog with a face like an ape and a pair of horns on its head. The dog repeatedly visited Brown, and on the last visit threatened her with a knife, telling her it would thrust his knife to my heart, but he would make me die. When Brown asked the dog who its owner was, it cocked its head towards Waterhouse's home. Alongside the accusations put towards Frances and Waterhouse, Waterhouse's own daughter Joan was also accused of witchcraft. Joan testified that the cat had once offered to support her in any deed in exchange for her soul. Joan refused the cat's offer. While she was found not guilty, her testimony was a further nail in the coffin for her mother and aunt's case. Unfairly, even though Frances had confessed to causing the deaths of humans through the cat, she was given a light sentence. Though 13 years later she was hanged following a second conviction. In contrast, Waterhouse, who had not confessed to causing the death of any person, was sentenced to death. Her trial was attended by several prominent figures, including Reverend Thomas Cole, Sir John Fortescue, Sir Gilbert Gerard, and John Southcote, Justice of the Queen's Bench. Despite her confessions of dealing with the cat, it is important to note that Waterhouse would have been tortured throughout her trial. Many to this day believe neither Waterhouse, her sister, or her daughter had any links to witchcraft. In fact, she had a reputation in her local village for being kind and helpful and a healer to those in pain. But what do you make of these cases? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below and help us by growing this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.